not a YouTuber, just like making videos. And we're gonna go right back into it. You know what I'm saying? Some people got my last video misconstrued, which is not unique in my case. Got it misinterpreted. Now, LA thought that video was a shot at him because he called Tommy Sotomayor Charcoal Black, and you know he was saying something about he was like going to give Tommy his a taste of his own medicine, or he likes dark-skinned people. I never said he didn't. I never said that he called dark-skinned people ugly. So I was talking about a greater problem and so forth. That if he feels that, you know what I'm saying, he's calling Tommy Charcoal Boy or whatever to remind him of his blackness. And I was saying that that's it's repugnant, because we know that blacks do it. You know, it's common amongst the so-called black community for people to, you know what I'm saying, to make fun of somebody's skin complexion and so forth. You know, that people want to compare skin, and a lot of blacks, you know, favor being a lighter shade. You know, and so I said what he did was kind of silly, and it also reminds me of that little short animation film, Coal Black and the Seven Dwarfs. You know, the Seven Dwarfs. You know, and if you never checked out this little cartoon, and you know, it's like a spoof and parody of Snow White, except it's a black female, and they call her Coal Black, and they actually color her, you know what I'm saying, color her skin complexion almost that of the same color as a lump of coal. You see what I'm saying? You know, as of Snow White, they don't color her white, they color her pink or Rosetta or whatever, you know, blush, you know, blushy cheeks and so forth. And then, you know, it's Coal Black and it's Seven Dwarfs making fun of blacks, ebonics or whatever, when we know that poor people in general speak this you know what I'm saying, this altered version of English, I would say. Yeah, so that's why I'd say I like, if LA was clever, you know, if he can rub two brain cells together, yeah, I'm like, he could have been real clever with it. Instead of calling Tommy a charcoal boy, you know what I mean, he could have, you know what I'm saying, think of just the opposite, you know what I mean, like, call him Snowflake, or call him Frosty, you know what I'm saying, or call him Powder, since, you know, Tommy's supposedly dark black, you know what I'm saying, you know what I'm saying, give him a name of something that's in contrast to it, you see what I mean, you know, like Snowflake or Powder, you know, just a thought, but, you know what I'm saying, I'm like, I don't know, maybe he needs to rub two brain cells together. And I also want to point out that it's wrong for Tommy. Just like I said in my videos, I don't take any sides. Now, if you see me going at somebody, you think I'm aligning myself with this person and so forth. I'm saying it doesn't benefit the content of my videos. It doesn't benefit my intellect to take some kind of a team, or make some sort of imaginary team with myself, or, you know, if I'm what's right is right and what's wrong is wrong. And I think Tommy is wrong to vulgarize dark-skinned people, you know what I'm saying, say they act a certain way. I know that when he talks about dark-skinned people, he's talking about their attitude. They have certain attitudes and so forth. I'm like, that's not that's not right. Because, you know, the people who are gonna be tranced by Tommy's rhetoric, you know, when they come across a dark-skinned person that's yelling inside of a chicken place or whatever, you know, they're gonna say that, oh, that's dark-skinned for you, so forth. Well, what did Tommy say? Every time you see a dark-skinned person, you know some shit's gonna go down. And watching Philly Just's video, he says something about he didn't know that a lot of these problems existed, or a lot of these stereotypes or perceptions, I would say, existed until he got on YouTube. Yeah, I always thought that, I already knew that blacks were stigmatized, you know, as being impatient and loud or whatever. They, you know, being sort of pushy, but, you know, and vulgar. But I've never noticed that it was just a characteristic of dark-skinned black women, that, you know, light-skinned black women act more divine and more enlightened. I'm like, no. I'm like, even in the world of smut, you know, you might be saying, oh, there I go with my porno movies again. You know what I'm saying? You see XXX films or in strip clubs or on in the red light district, you see just as many light-skinned and high yellow people as dark-skinned or medium brown or whatever you want to, you know what I'm saying, whatever color there is. LA said something about, he says that, well, I see a light-skinned person, I call him red. And I mentioned that in my last video, that's inconclusive. Because even though, it's like someone says to a pretty person, you pretty motherfucker. Do you consider that like an insult? Will he, you know what I'm saying, will he be up in arms about that? You know, someone calling, hey, you pretty motherfucker, as if you calling somebody an ugly motherfucker. Hence, light-skinned people in Redbone, they get the last laugh, because when people are bleaching their skin to be their skin color and so forth, and they're kind of looked at it, and you see so many black men talking about, you know, and black women too, talking about Redbone or light-skinned dudes and so forth. I'm like, we do have this dark, you know what I'm saying, and light-skinned thing going on. I'm like, it's not major, you know what I'm saying. Well, I don't know, maybe it is, but yeah, so it's kind of like when you call a light-skinned saying you light-skinned motherfucker, you Redbone, it doesn't have the same impact, you know what I'm saying, because especially when it comes to dark skin, and, you know, people say they don't want to stay in the sunlight to be dark and so forth. Now as far as, you know, some of these blacks, you know, black women in particular, you know what I'm saying, wanting light-skinned babies, or, well, I don't want to say just black women, but black people, you know, crying and boo-hoo that they don't feel accepted by society because they're dark, or I don't want the kids to be dark, and so forth. I'm like, first of all, here in America, if you're black, you're dark. You know what I'm saying? Light-skinned people have, I can't see a light-skinned person, you know what I'm saying, having a better life and so forth. Only in certain instances, you know what I'm saying, that is very superficial. I'm going to get to that later on. But I'm like, why would you? I'm like, everything that makes black people, you know what I'm saying, great, you contribute to our blackness and so forth. Whether it's our muscle tone, like I read in one of those men's and fitness magazines, that, you know what I'm saying, that blacks, you know what I'm saying, in general, blacks do not have to work harder at the gym. We have like a natural muscle tone that a lot of us are born with, you know what I'm saying, that Caucasians have to work, you know what I'm saying, hard to get, you know what I'm saying, they have to hit the gym to get, you know what I'm saying, what a lot of blacks have naturally and so forth. And this is not me knocking Caucasians. This is something I read in a book that was most likely, in an article that was most likely written by a Caucasian. And then, you know what I'm saying, our athleticness, you know what I'm saying, what else, you know what I'm saying, our ability to dance, all these things that, you know what I'm saying, sports that blacks have excelled at, and you want to somehow, you know, weaken that strand and so forth. I'm like, it doesn't make sense, you know, just to be accepted by society, when society, you know what I'm saying, I don't think, even though, yeah, I talk about white racism, I don't think that we're so primitive and so backwards to the point where a black person, really a dark-skinned black person, can excel or whatever, that, you know what I'm saying, if you want to give your children an advantage, you know, why not work hard, make sure they have decent schooling and a college fund or something, or have something when they get out of high school and so forth, give them a good environment, you know, be a good parent, you know what I'm saying, that's what ultimately gives them an advantage. Because I see so many Redbones and high yellows, you know what I'm saying, they're on that stripping pole just like everybody else. And a light-skinned black man, or a peanut butter complected black man, or a black man my skin complexion, I like, you know what I'm saying, I will have no advantages whatsoever. of a dark-skinned black man. None. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, I'm like, be minuscule for a light-skinned or a mixed black man to really gain any sort of advantage. He has to dang near pass for white to a point where you look at him and you be confused, like, is he black or white, and so forth. Now, I read a story, and I can't forget this guy's name. Saw a story. There's this author. You know what I'm saying? I think he was a poet, or he wrote stories, and he wasn't a mixed fellow, and he could pass for white. You know what I'm saying? Almost like an Eastern European, and that's what he did. He passed for white, and supposedly he excelled. You know what I'm saying? When he first, I can't remember his name. You know what I'm saying? And this is not me creating some sort of snowball fallacy, but I can't remember his name. But supposedly when he started off in the game, you know what I'm saying, he wasn't getting nowhere. He went to Greenwich in New York and so forth, and that sector in New York. And, you know what I'm saying, and he just passed for a white person. He was accepted, you know what I'm saying. I think this was like in the 60s and the 70s and so forth, you know, but other than that, yeah. But I would say that a mixed black woman, they may have, you know what I'm saying, they may have an edge there. Because I think about a black female that looks white or have Caucasian features. Because I think about the first black Miss America, and who was it? It was Vanessa Williams. Who would have thunk it, you know? And I don't even know if you can consider her black. I don't know if Vanessa Williams is mixed. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. You know, I don't feel like Wikipediaing her up or whatever. But yeah, she was the first black Miss America, and I do feel that, you know what I'm saying, she garnered her title, because I'm like she got the light colored eyes. You know what I'm saying? She has what, reddish or sandy brown hair or some sorts. I'm like she's she's only black because she's not white. You know what I'm saying? If you figure that out and so forth. So yeah, and maybe the fashion model in the beauty industry, but still, it may have some sort of advantage, but you know what I'm saying, give your kids a good education and so forth, raise them in a good environment, you know what I'm saying, if you want your kids to have, you know what I mean, have some sort of upper hand, you know what I'm saying, if you want them to compete. I don't think America is so backwards that you need, you know what I'm saying, a skin complexion, I'm like, to compete, you know what I'm saying, especially when blacks in general won't get white privilege. And still, even among white people, you know what I'm saying, you have poor white trash and so forth, and they're looked down on, and they may get the, you know what I'm saying, they may still have it better than blacks and so forth. But I feel that, you know what I'm saying, I understand here in America you have black people living in neighborhoods, you know, or working jobs that white people weren't qualified for, or white people can't afford to even live in these neighborhoods, or afford the luxury some blacks have, because blacks have worked hard, or their parents, you know what I'm saying, gave them a good environment to grow up in and so forth. So yeah, but I want to go back into there's a book that I read. It was called The Little Universe of Men, and I mentioned it that during the turn of the century, that 10% of the black population were mulatto, they were mixed. But even though, yeah, you can put them in the white population too, but you know, they're gonna put it in as black and so forth. Now back in the days, mulatto people did have some sort of advantage. You know what I'm saying? They were considered the talented 10th because they were 10% of blacks, and they were living in urban facilities. And they were mingling, rubbing shoulders with white people, because hence even white people, you know, especially white people back in those days, did adore light-skinned black people. You know, in the Caribbean islands, mixed people were allowed to have certain privileges, not the same privileges of white people, but in the Caribbeans, you know what I'm saying, back in the days, yeah, you know what I'm saying, a lot of mixed people, Creole or whatever, they were. I'm saying they had plantations, they ran plantations and so forth. You know what I'm saying, they were they were a step behind, above black people, which was sad back then because a lot of those mulattoes, they were bastard children of white men. You know, the white men wasn't wrong, but they still felt that they were better. The Arthur J.A. Rogers, if you ever read his books, even though he was a mulatto himself, he, you know what I'm saying, he laid it down for black people. He wrote a lot of beneficial information for us to read and so forth. So you might want to check out his books. And he was a mulatto who actually grew up on a plantation, and he talked about his parents and these mulatto people calling black people beast, and looking down at them, you know what I'm saying, considering them beasts just like the white man and so forth. Some people say that back then the mixed breed, the hybrids, you know what I mean, sometimes treated black people worse or whatever than white people do, because they didn't want to be associated with them, because they know that their blood really is in them, and sometimes they wanted to reject that, and they want to prove to their master that, you know what I'm saying, no, we can be just like you, we can be cruel to the black men just like you, even though we're mixed and so forth. I'm like, it's, you know what I'm saying, and most societies look at, you know what I'm saying, ancient cultures or whatever, look at, you know what I'm saying, hybrids is kind of like, you know what I'm saying, different from pure breeds. Hybrids always got treated like this kind of like the society stepchildren, except when it comes to, and white people only indoctrinate mixed people and so forth, and in certain cases in their ranks to up their numbers and so forth, when they know we have when they're dealing with a large population of blacks, when blacks outnumber them, especially when Louisiana was controlled by the French, and you know what I'm saying, the West Indies and the Caribbean islands and so forth. So that's, you know what I'm saying, interesting tidbit right there. But I'm gonna talk about burnt and crispy. You know what I'm saying? I hear people say that you're burnt and crispy. Black people saying this. You know what I'm saying? This goes into this total insanity, you know what I'm saying, of some of our people and so forth. But the thing is, you know, when someone is burnt, you know, you ever seen them like that, if they had real third-degree burns or real severe burns and so forth, I'm like, that scar there is just, you just see the tissue there, I'm like, it's pink or whatever, because the melanin is all burnt off. I have an aunt, you know what I'm saying, who was burnt real bad in a fire, you know, I'm like, she just have these white spots all over her face and hands, and so almost like she has vitiligo or whatever, so forth. But you can see it was, you know what I'm saying, it was singed and burnt. So that's the thing, is to have, you know what I'm saying, our melanin is a biological paint job. I'm like, and to have dark skin, that you know what I'm saying, you have it's a superior paint job and so forth. Hence, lighter skin, or you know what I'm saying, are white people's skin, you know what I'm saying, pinkish skin or whatever. I'm like, that's it's an inferior paint job. It's like with your car, you know what I'm saying, why do you get your car painted and so forth? You know what I'm saying, not, you know what I'm saying, to protect it from rust, you know what I'm saying, and other environmental hazards, you know, and this and that. I'm like, if you just walked around with a steel frame or that metallic frame with no paint on it, your car is more sustainable to rust. When you have it a weak paint job, I'm like, when the sun beams down on it, you know what I'm saying, that paint is going to change color. I know I used to have you know what I'm saying, my first car out of high school or whatever, you know, my parents gave me a car, was a Geo Prism, a red Geo Prism, but it was so faded by the sunlight, eventually it turned pink. You know what I'm saying? And so therefore I went to Earl Schaub or Meineke, and you know what I'm saying, and you know what I'm saying, and dropped some dough, you know what I'm saying, to get me a real illustrious paint job and so forth. I remember I painted it like a sandy brown. You know what I'm saying? I loved that car. But yeah, I'm like, so, you know what I'm saying, why would you, but as I said, it's crazy. I'm like, it's madness that us, you know what I'm saying, we're still trapped in the dark ages or whatever, you know what I'm saying, on skin complexion, you know, and especially for us black people, you know what I'm saying, I'm like, when we live in America, you're black, you know what I'm saying, I'm like, you're in a boat with everybody else and so forth. I'm like, Barack Obama and Halle Berry's been called the nigger, so I don't know why you're gonna think that you know, and I'm like, and some of these people that's doing these black men and women that are just seeking out, you know, wanting to get light-skinned kids, and I'm like, you're only just fooling yourself, because a lot of these high yellow females, a lot of these high yellow children or whatever, or mixed kids, guess what? They go out and they're going to get them a dark-skinned fellow, you know, and so forth, or a dark-skinned mate, you know, and you have just typical-looking black grandbabies and so forth. But, you know what I'm saying? It's funny how people talk about crispy, burnt, crispy. You know, when something is burnt, when it's turned to cinder, it changes properties. You know what I'm saying? Like burnt coal, like a burnt piece of charcoal. You know what I'm saying? What does burnt charcoal look like? I'm like, it's gray. It turns gray. You know what I'm saying? It turns to ashes and cinder, which is gray. It changes properties and so forth. You know, and when something is really burnt. And I also hear black people make, like I call other blacks tar babies, like get mad and call people tar babies and so forth. It's almost like the term Uncle Tom. You know what I'm saying? We have to know where these terms originated from. It's kind of like when the Republican Michelle Bachmann, presidential candidate, yeah, right. That was far-fetched. I talked about tar baby in reference to Obama, and a lot of people thought that was a racial slur. And of course, she was trying to, you know what I'm saying, she was trying to send it in there, you know what I'm saying, like some sort of a proverbial jab or whatever. But hence, tar baby simply means that it means you're in a sticky situation. It comes from the folklore, you know what I'm saying, the story of Brer Rabbit and the tar baby. Like they, you know what I'm saying, the tar baby was a doll made out of turpentine to fool Brer Rabbit, and you know, so when he got stuck on it, you know what I'm saying, the more he tried to fight it, you know, the more entangled he became. Hence, that's why when a lot of people say it's a tar baby, that's a sticky situation. But I understand that over time it kind of changed meanings and so forth. I admit that if somebody called me a tar baby, I'm going to be offended by it. But that's where it originated from. This video has been running long enough. Thanks for watching, and sally forth.